You are now listening to the Carlifestyle Podcast.
With host
Seth Rose from Exotics Rally.
T-NYC from Carlifestyle.
Elizabeth White from It's White Noise.
Carlifestyle.
Welcome back to the Carlifestyle Podcast. We are recording today in beautiful Midtown New York City. We have been honored to be guests at Nissan United headquarters in Midtown Manhattan. And I am here today with my co-host, Elizabeth White from It's White Noise.
Hey, guys.
T- from Carlifestyle.
Yo, yo.
And our guest for today is Alex. And Alex, what is your last name?
Carmagnolas.
Carmagnolas. Wow. Okay.
Wow.
There will not
times fast.
Yeah. There will not be a spelling quiz on that later.
As long as it's not Carmen Gia, we're good.
We're good.
Hey.
So the reason we brought Alex in today is because Alex happens to be not only a Nissan aficionado, he's a Nissan owner. He's got a little bit of a historian background, and he's going to share with us his story of how he came about to be Mr. 240, should we say?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. So
240.
Yes.
.com.
.com. Because Alex does have a website. What is the website address?
It's 240.240.240.com.
In numbers,
All right.
right?
So-
Yeah.
Not written out in letters.
numerals.
Yeah.
So I take it that you own a 240.
Yes, I own a 240.
Okay, so why don't you take us back to a little history of yourself? Born and raised,
I was born in Howard Beach, New York.
right?
Raised there till about 7 years old. Then we moved to Levittown, New York. And that's where it took full effect of the Nissan lifestyle.
Of the love for cars or Nissan lifestyle itself?
Love for cars really seated there, and the Nissan lifestyle.
Okay, so it started at a young age. So what was your earliest memory of cars?
It would have to be when I was probably 2 or 3 years old. My dad's S12, which was a Nissan 200 SX.
Wow, yes, okay.
And it
coupe.
it was the coupe, and it had the flip-up headlights. And when you open the doors, it would say, "Door is ajar."
There's a
and that
jar,
was-
yes. The 300ZXs
Yeah.
did that as well. Yeah.
I need that in my life.
And fuel is low.
Yes.
So, for the whole family, it was like the robotic car, and we were all amused by that because, you thought
Did
you
it
had...
say it in Greek?
No, but overseas it probably did say it in Japanese.
Yeah.
Which would have been super sick.
cool.
Yeah, we need that. Yeah.
Really cool. So that was like the car of the family, and we always thought of it as like the Knight Rider car because it spoke to us, and we'd make jokes and stuff
I
like that.
remember it had digital dash, right?
It had a digital dash.
Super dope.
Yeah, it was like completely
A
crazy.
friend of mine had one on BBS back in the days, and he was like Tony Montana of Queens because he had that on BBS.
It was black with the camel interior, so it was super fresh.
Did it have the louvers in the back windows?
No louvers, but that was the super model. I
Yeah,
know
it was.
The turbo model.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, louvers back then, you were
the
really
man.
it.
You were the man.
man.
Absolutely.
So your father had a 200SX, or was that a family car?
That was his car, and my mom also had a 200SX in silver.
Wow, okay, so this
It was
really...
like matching sneakers. Nice.
We've got a little bit of a bloodline going on.
Yeah, a little
so
bit.
back then, was it Nissan at the time? It was Nissan. Datsun ended it way before that.
I think Datsun was around 1981. I'm not sure exactly when it
Datsun
ended.
was around
'cause
82.
There was a transition.
Yeah, 82 went over to Nissan.
Right.
I wasn't even born yet.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Seth and I were already in college.
Yeah, well, actually, my funny thing is, one of my very first cars was a Nissan Pulsar NX.
Ooh,
Yeah,
those are cool.
My father bought that car. My father was an accountant, and his license plate said tax prep, so it was really corny to drive around with it.
That's awesome.
And my father gave it to me as my first car, and I thought it was a hot rod. There I was, zipping all around town, putting mud flaps on it, louvers on the back window like we were talking about.
Right.
But it was automatic, so I was like a real cheese ball.
Right.
And I wound up actually, unfortunately, wrecking that car. But that's a whole nother story, because that car was like slanted in the front with the pop-up headlights and became like a door wedge to the rear of a BMW. Anyway, so you had two 200SXs.
Right.
And where did it progress from there?
So we ended up moving, and once we moved, my sister ended up getting my father's 200SX, And,
You were mad that day.
Oh, I was very angry because she never took care of it.
Is she older or younger?
She is older. She's 4 years older.
So she had seniority on you.
She had seniority and she had her driver's license, but she didn't know what she was doing.
Right.
I essentially, we both learned how to drive stick, but I was 12 and she was 16. We learned at the same time on the 200SX. The car never really had any issues and it lasted great. And my father then ordered a 1991 240SX LE with every single option that you could possibly get. It had the leather,
sunroof.
the sunroof,
Right.
the special leather case that came with the sunroof, the little kit so you can take care of the leather, and the dashboard and make sure everything stays super fresh. And everything had
Was
to
it stick?
It was 5-speed as well, yes.
Yes.
And everything was branded Nissan. If you didn't use Nissan parts on it, my dad did not want to have a part of it. So
That's cool, though.
So
He was a real
had
aficionado.
So he had the little care kit that you would clean the windows with the Nissan glass spray. We had everything, and he had stock of it. So he would take care
That's
of it.
when the dealer was making millions.
Yeah, the dealer was killing it with my dad. Where he should have been driving a Mercedes or BMW, he chose to drive the Nissan because he loved the brand so much. So when 16 came around and I was going to college,
Wait, you're going to college at 16?
I'm born December 27th. So
You're
I'm
right
like
on the cusp. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I'm right on the cusp. So I was the
You
youngest.
were the youngest
in
in your
I knew
grade,
it
yeah.
couldn't have been for like intelligence.
No. Maybe. Who knows? But so when I turned 16, he gave me the gift of giving me that car. And that was like the family gem. He loved it so much. It was a 240SX S13, like I said.
So was that the coupe or the hatchback?
It was the hatchback.
It was the hatchback?
And it had the factory wheels, but they were completely like spotless, never curbed.
Those are the teardrops?
Yeah, the teardrops.
I love those.
And it was absolutely one of the best days of my life.
Was it
remembering
an automatic
driving.
or a stick?
5-speed.
5-speed?
It was a 5-speed.
So he basically instilled his love for Nissan in you.
Right.
And you looking up to your father and him being very close to you and your best friend,
Yeah.
you were like, okay, I don't care about Corvettes. I don't care about Lamborghinis. Nissan it is.
I had the option to get different cars, and I said, Dad, and he said, absolutely, if you take care of it the way I take care of it. So a few months passed, and I was taking care of it amazing. We put wheels on it, and I made sure it was okay with him. And we started to modify the car a little bit. We put a little bit of an exhaust on it, nothing too crazy. We did a lightweight drive shaft, aluminum, and we did a lightweight flywheel. So a couple years passed.
What year was that you did all that in?
Probably in '99.
People really weren't modding
No, they
much
weren't.
back then.
Yeah.
so-
Nope.
Right.
You were like the man if you were in
Yeah,
12
I got
I mean,
quarter miles.
a modification back then was like a curb feeler, mud flap,
Right.
a seatbelt guard.
And what was funny is the only way I knew how to mod cars, because my dad loved Nissan, but he wasn't like a race car builder. He just loved the brand. The only way we knew how to modify it was like through Gran Turismo. We had played Gran Turismo.
That's awesome.
And like, what do you do the first thing you can afford in Gran Turismo? Lightweight drive shaft, lightweight flywheel. So that's what I did, because that's what I knew to do. And then we would put an intake on it, because that's all I knew. I didn't really have that much exposure. I then started going to school at NYIT for computer graphics and animation, and got more and more involved with the cars, doing movies with it, editing, doing photography, Photoshop, stuff like that. And one of the movies that we edited, we actually used the video footage from a video game called Tokyo Extreme Racer.
I had that. It was on Sega.
It was super awesome, but it was like Tokyo Extreme Racer 3. It was on PlayStation.
It was nighttime.
Right. You're always at night, and you're driving on the highways of like Tokyo, and you're like challenging people.
Yeah, and they had a Nissan. I remember mine was white, a Nissan 240.
Right.
Yeah,
But,
see,
like,
I never played this.
He didn't even have
it
video
was an
games in his time.
it was an S13 because they called it like a
Yes.
Sylvia or
Yes, but they had the hatchback version.
Right.
Yeah.
So I modified that, and I would spend hours driving it around digitally during the night, and then during the day I'd be driving I mean, it was an absolute obsession. It was almost unhealthy.
Almost like a simulator
Yeah.
street.
Yeah, things haven't changed. I mean, you are the real, like, you are a very genuine, a very authentic, a very die-hard Nissan, fan,
Right.
enthusiast.
And what's fantastic about this is having and owning that car and having the love of that car brought me into the automotive world, which I built my business, Constant Design, which is all automotive design and printing.
Sure.
For what we do. So it had brought me in. So to get back to that car, I've had it for a few years now. I'm in my third year of college, and on my way home, middle of the day, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I get hit by a drunk driver. Head on, jumps to the middle divider and destroys the car. Hits me head on. I was unharmed, thank God. And I remember coming out of the car and just screaming because the car was essentially destroyed. The person that hit me had stolen the vehicle, had drugs on them, and actually broke their leg and was still trying to run away from the scene.
With one leg.
With one leg. And
That's super gangster New
Yes.
York
Yes.
right there.
That is. We need like Thug Life meme right now.
Welcome to New
Definitely
York.
had
World
Tim's
star
on.
hip hop at its best. Right?
Right?
So,
You were devastated.
Did you chase after him?
no, there was a ton of people that came to help because it was in a very
I can't believe you
small-
weren't hurt at all. How bad was the damage to the car?
The entire front was crushed. The only thing I had on the front, I had a brace, an engine brace.
Tower strut brace.
Yeah, tower brace, and that's all I had. But
That's
whole
a real
front,
testament to how well Nissans are built.
right? And it literally smashed the front of the car. My legs weren't injured or anything at all, and I took out of the car, and there were some people around that the police came and they arrested the person. They ended up catching him, and I tried to see if we could fix the car, but unfortunately, it was going to be something like $20,000. It would be a whole front clip, and it would never be the same. Also, it was '99, so it's
Things
not
were a
just-
lot different with repairs and
repairs.
technology.
So the car was essentially a total loss, and which was super devastating. And I thought my dad was going to come and yell at me for the car being destroyed, and that wasn't the case, obviously, because he's a human and he was excited that I wasn't hurt or worse. So the search began. I thought my journey with 240s was going to end there, and I was randomly on some local listing on the computer in probably the year 2000.
Craigslist.
Yeah, Craigslist. And in South Carolina, there was a listing for a 97 240SX with 48,000 miles on it for half the price they were going for. I think at the time they were selling for around 15,000.
And that's because drifting hadn't taken
Not at all.
this incredible liking
I
to
didn't even
240s.
know what drifting
I
was.
was going to say that car became, and we'll talk about it more, but that car became the drifting icon of today's age.
Right.
And there's been nothing built quite like it, or that can quite compare to
Well,
it.
because
Well, it's 50-50 weight split.
Yeah, it's the actual number is 55-45, but it's so
I didn't know that.
yeah, it's
So close,
It's
yeah.
so perfect. The wheelbase isn't too long. It's a well-built car. It's solid, and you could put whatever motor you want in it.
Yes.
It literally accepts
It has the
whatever
space,
you
certainly.
want. You could put an LS in it. You could put a push rod motor from a Mustang. You could
A
do
new
it.
GTR engine?
You could. They have one.
They have one.
Let's
yeah,
do
yeah, yeah.
this.
Yes.
Yes, they have
It's
one.
unbelievable.
It's retarded.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
Yeah, but that's big
unbelievable.
budget though.
Maybe we'll ask the people here at Nissan United to donate one.
Yeah, absolutely.
great idea.
Yeah, I'll have the donor car, no problem. Just don't scratch it. Just don't scratch it.
I'd much rather prefer the Juke GTR, but hey.
I love
You
that.
know what? That thing is
Yeah.
special, man.
That is.
It
It's
is.
unbelievable. You're at a light, and they're like, "What?"
They're like, okay.
I mean, everything about that Juke is pretty crazy, though.
It is.
Also, it went up Festival of Speed at Goodwood last year on two
two
wheels.
wheels, yeah.
It was sick.
Really?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
You know what's crazy is with the people that we know, we could very easily make it 1700 horsepower. No worries.
Right.
Absolutely.
1700 in a Juke.
Right.
Scary.
People would puke.
Yeah.
Legit. They'd be like, oh my God.
We'd have to take it to some crazy chess track, though.
Yeah, like Fifth Avenue.
I'd shut down the street. Got it.
Great
Absolutely.
idea. Just
I
call
mean,
Donald.
all the potholes and all the steel
I'll call
plates.
my homie Trump. He's president now.
President-elect. He hasn't been sworn
Oh,
in.
boy.
If he gets assassinated before the swearing in, then he
boy.
won't
It's
be
nice,
president.
Seth.
Well, no, they've been.
I'm just pointing that out.
The other day, actually,
That was
he
Seth
went
Rose,
to
not T minus.
the other day he went to a dinner unannounced, and everyone got in a big fluster about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well, he's the big
he's
thing
not
there.
allowed to eat steak without letting everyone know he's going to eat steak first,
Interesting.
or
right.
cake. Or cake.
Wait, so what
Back
was the
to
end of
240.
your...
So I ended up getting a 97 240SX. The production numbers are from 3,000 to 4,000, so they're very, very low production numbers. They're extremely hard to find, and it ended up being a base model, which at the time I thought was kind of cheesy, but it's actually very sought after because there's no sunroof, so the chassis flexes less, and It's very easily modified, as all 240SXs are.
But that's also because of this huge influx of drifting and people using the 240 base, to initiate their drifting skills. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So because everybody went to that platform, I mean, a shit ton of companies have come up with parts specifically for the car.
Right. It has an unbelievable aftermarket.
Right.
You could make it into
even though it's 20 years old.
Right.
Or 25 years old.
In fact, the company Tomei in Japan just started producing parts for the KA engine, which is the natural engine for the U.S. market.
Right.
And they developed a full turbo kit. They're now doing a long block, which they're going to be offering. It's unbelievable. This motor is 20-something years old, 25 years old.
It's solid, though.
And it's absolutely solid.
Yeah.
It's aluminum head, iron block. As long as you tune them properly, they're workhorses.
It's like Nissan's RB motors.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolute tanks. So that's what I stuck with my motor. So I had the 97 240SX, and now I was in my last year of college. I'm refining my skills.
Was that one a hatchback also?
That it's a coupe. They only made coupes from.
They only did. Okay, I wasn't sure.
95 and up.
Okay.
So
S14. You had. Seth also had one. It was S13.
S13.
Yeah.
So refining my skills, I get out of college and I have this car. I use it constantly. It's just the absolute center of everything. Everyone knows me as 240 Alex. And which is weird because even my son today, I have a 1-year-old son, and
he doesn't call you daddy. He calls you 240 Alex.
He says he'll point to the garage and goes 240, and we open the garage door because I literally have a garage built for it.
He has a garage. He built the garage around the car. Legit. This guy is forget about it. The Smithsonian for 240s.
He'll open the door in the morning and say, "Good morning, 240," and he's like, "Almost." It's really cute.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's cute. So the sickness continues, which is nice.
Yeah, start them young.
So I started doing, because of the car, designing more in the automotive areas. So I started designing logos for automotive companies and T-shirts and race suits. And through people that I had met modifying my 240, I grew my business, which is Constant Design.
Which is doing big things currently. I mean, don't you take care of all the clothing for Street Outlaws?
Yeah, let's get a history of the clothing line, the clothing company or the printing company that you have, and then I want to go back to your car, where it currently stands today, and the modifications that you currently have.
My company, Constant Design, what we pretty much do is design and print for a lot of automotive companies throughout the world. We do some companies in Australia, some in Great Britain, and throughout the United States. One of the larger companies we designed for in the United States, we've designed T-shirt, garments, and posters for a company called AMS.
Okay.
Do you know their Alpha program with the GTRs?
Yes, of course.
So we've done design with that, and some of those designs have gone to the Tokyo Auto Salon, which is kind of an amazing feature for ourselves because that was kind of early on.
Right.
We had hooked up with Tony Palla from T1 Race Development, who also has an amazing GTR program called GT1R, and they go from 500 to 2,500 boutique. So you bring your bone stock GTR.
And by those numbers, we're talking horsepower, correct?
Horsepower. 2,500 horsepower that you can say, here's my GTR, and you pick it up in a couple of weeks. Their shop is completely amazing, spotless, as well as obviously the AMS program.
Right, but they're dealing with companies such as Econo Racing, right, out of Dubai?
E-Canoe.
Oh, E-Canoe, is that how you pronounce it?
E-Canoe.
I was a little lost there.
Tony does have some workings with E-Canoe as well.
And they set the world record last night?
I believe it was broken by someone involved with E-Canoe.
Oh, Dave is up on it.
Yes.
That's awesome that you're up on it.
What's really cool is, it's unbelievable.
That's awesome he's up on it.
Wait, so they beat the record by a tenth of a second?
last night in the GTR.
Yeah, what
But
was it?
it's
OMG.
quarter mile in 6 seconds.
Wow.
Retarded.
7:16 and then it was 7:01.
Unbelievable.
That's
7:16, 7:01.
unbelievable.
Right.
Wow.
And it was a true honor just to have my logo that I had designed for the GT1R on Tony Paolo's cars, on some of E-Canoe's cars.
Sure.
And this is all started from me playing around with a 240.
Your own 240, correct.
Right. We have a very large facility that we design and print in. We have 4 in-house artists. We have 4 presses. We do digital printing and we do embroidery, and it's 99% of our clientele is the automotive industry around this country, Europe, and Australia.
Awesome. There's a huge motorsports following in Australia. It's out of control.
Right. It's unbelievable. And they actually, in my Nissan, I have a Haltech computer, which is a company based in Australia.
Right.
It's a standalone management.
Correct.
Because
It's been around a long time.
They've been around a long time. They're a super amazing company. And they give you the ability to keep a lot of the stock functions and have a completely tunable. I have the stock engine in my car, but it's fully built. And I use a Haltech Platinum 1000 in it. And we use the DPOs out of it, which you can designate to like control the air conditioning or the cruise control. And we did that all in the 240 because you can open that door, start the car, everything looks bone stock inside, and everything works. Most 240s don't have that ability anymore.
I'm going to interrupt you because I want to get a little more history of the car that you have now.
Right.
Where did you bought this car? Where did you find it?
In Greensboro, South Carolina, I believe.
Okay.
We bought it from an old lady, and we got it for $7,000 when they were going for about 14 or 15 at the time.
So you beat her in the head.
Not even.
No, you're such a good person.
She said, "Give me cash, and you could take it." She didn't want it. It kind of
Right,
It was
and you
stolen.
just thought
It was stolen.
Yeah, you thought she's old. I'll just give her this $7,000.
I was a 19 or 20-year-old kid. We flew down with my mother because I didn't have that money. I was in college and working at Kmart, making $200 a week. She fronted me the money. I had to pay her every week $50 for my paycheck, which I had to do, and
So you were still paying for the car.
she's still paying for the car. 2 more payments, she's mine. No,
My son will be paying for it in the future.
I got him on the program. He already says hi to the car.
so that was kind of cool, and you learn a bunch of important things. Like that was like my first essential car payment because the other 240 was given to me. But as long as I was in school and you do well, you don't have to pay for it. But then once that car came, I had my own insurance. That was big time. Making payments, but so that car had it had a lot of time on the road. We got it with 48,000 miles. We drove it up right away from South Carolina. Straight back. We didn't know.
With your mom?
With my mom, who I made drive through DC because I was exhausted and the traffic there was terrible. So that didn't affect the clutch like I thought it would, but she knew how to drive stick because she had the S12.
Right.
Yeah, mama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing like Liz White.
And we made it back in like 10, 11 hours. And from then on, it was just slowly modifying it. And I always modified it with OEM Nissan. So like I had the OEM, because it was a base model. So it didn't have the side skirts.
Following in your father's footsteps.
Yeah. So I got the OEM front lip, which at the time was like $300.
Right.
And $300 to me then was like an entire summer of saving every tip in like the brickyard. So saved up all my money, got that front lip, and I was like flexing. Like that was you have a 97 and the front lip?
I know, it's crazy.
In 90, in like
They were scarce.
in 2002 when I got it, it was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, so
Watch out, Long Island.
yeah. I was
Boss is here.
killing the game with my Payless sneakers, but my killer
You've never
front
had
lip.
pay less anything. You probably had pay more.
Yes. But and then from there, I just kept modding. I got the JDM side skirts from Nissan, brand new. I always tried to source from a dealership.
But everybody really has to also, our listeners have to remember, this car was the shit at the time. I mean, this was like a real sports car. This was it.
Yeah.
And it was limited
I
production
don't know
as well.
about that. I don't know. The 300ZX twin turbo was out.
The 300, yes, it was, but I'm saying
That was a big difference in price.
huge difference.
huge.
Yeah,
Just like you had
true.
Camaros and Corvettes.
yeah, you're right. Yep.
You had the 240 and you had the 300ZX.
Yeah.
So
Right.
they had two playing fields.
different markets.
Toyota
Yeah, you're right.
Toyota had the Supra and the Celica. So,
Totally.
this
it was a good base coupe that actually.
It was a great entry level
Right,
sports car.
yeah.
I mean, it had a ton of potential.
Right.
Which we're now seeing 20 years later.
The craziest part about it is all my friends growing up had Mustangs. Like, so when I was in Levittown,
Yeah, you
everybody
definitely should have had better friends.
all had Fox bodies, and I was the
Fox
guy with the
bodies, that was
240.
it, yeah.
So then I'm like, I got to catch up to these guys. So around 04, I'm like, I'm going to do a turbo kit.
Why didn't you go SR20?
I wanted to work with what I had, and I was in the mindset of more displacement. You could fit more air, more displacement, because that's what the American guys are saying. Bigger motor, more power.
They always talk displacement.
Right.
But the Japanese have beat them down.
But it ended up working out for me. We did a basic T3-T4 turbo setup on the KA.
That's the old school setup.
Yeah.
T3, T4, Turbonetics.
And it was tuned with a Super AFC only.
Oh, I love that from Apex.
And
Apex I.
Yeah, and it had 370 SR injectors, and it was tuned at 8 pounds and made like 250 horsepower.
Yeah, but 8 pounds back in the days was like, you were the man.
8 pounds was
when
big.
I got in that,
Hell yeah.
When I got in that car in 04, after we tuned it, quote unquote.
Right.
I mean,
nobody even had a dyno in 04.
I was going off forums that
Besides,
God
like-
knows if the settings were right. But
Right.
I mean, it ran well for a few years, and it was making 240, 250, and it was really awesome. And then I started to step it up, where I got a crate motor. There was a company called Top Hat Performance, which was no longer around, that built a crate motor KA, which I had bought, and I put that in it, and then I put a bigger turbo and bigger injectors, and now you made 350 on this car, and it seemed to accept it. You adjust the suspension, we did coilovers, and the car, no matter how we modified it, you could always make it so it was like comfortable and fast and handled well. So it was a great platform.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And all the companies made stuff for suspension. Remember, Tane was big with Nissan.
Right. It currently has TN flexes in it with the EDFC, so you can control the dampening and stuff like that.
I wasn't a huge fan of the flex. However, the EDFC was cool.
Right.
You know, I mean, if you really used it, like if you really went from tarmac to gravel to snow
Listen,
to
it's
mud.
another
You
cool
went
button.
from like your driveway to your garage to your driveway.
Well, we used to do this thing at Englishtown that used to be called Drift Out Wednesdays.
Okay.
So in like the early 2000s.
So is that before Club Loose?
That's like the guys who made Club Loose.
Yep.
Those are those guys.
Yeah.
And JR of Van Guyton used to be there with his coupe. He had an S13 coupe.
Vaughn Gittin Jr.?
Yeah.
Yep.
And
yeah, I remember it. I remember he got sponsored by Falcon.
yeah, and that was like the biggest thing because we all went to this place called Beaver Run. Now we have a crew of like 4.
I remember Beaver Run. I was in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and
Yes.
we did like a crew of like 40 dudes. We're very close knit, all 240 guys, and some had sacks of shit. Sorry, some like crappy cars, and
It's all good. Just speak your mind.
You can't curse in Greek.
no, I can, but you know, my wife, my mom, everybody gets mad. It was a really close-knit family.
Sure.
And what's funny is one of the 240 people was this girl, Ainsley Jacobs, who...
I remember her.
She actually does a lot of the PR for Precision Turbo,
Mm-hmm.
and now she has her own PR company, and she does it for all automotive sports as well. And she's very large in the industry. And it was really nice, close-knit, and, you know, everyone kind of blew up from there.
Yep.
And everyone...
Ryan Turk started out with 240 also.
He was, you know...
And Forsberg.
Everybody was hanging out in this parking lot drifting. It was the only place that you could do it. We had Drift Out Wednesdays where you would go. And driving from New York to New Jersey in rush hour.
Englishtown's far.
Yeah.
It's far.
Yeah.
And you're in rush hour and you have to cross the Verrazzano. And you're clutching for 3 hours straight. And then you have to go beat the crap out of your car and drive home. They did it. They really did it.
Those cars hold up, though.
There was no issue.
Like I said, it's a
Well,
testament
back then
to
there
Nissan.
weren't tire sponsors really
Right.
either.
That's right. That's right.
There wasn't much sponsorship
I
at all.
drove on my
That's
drift.
right.
I mean, obviously the skill level is insane. Even entry level drifters now with the S13s.
but the sport has developed in 20 years. Developed. You know,
Right.
It's not still brand new. It's not pioneering.
Like
you
we
know?
were doing it in a gravel parking lot, like essentially really bad, like textured parking lot, and now they have the most beautiful road course in Englishtown for drifting.
Right.
They hold amazing
Yeah.
drift events. It's I'm not part
They
of
do a
that
lot of
crew anymore,
grassroots,
just
stuff
because I'm
there.
so busy. But
Old, yeah.
old, no time. but there's some really nice guys there, like Matt Petty. He helps
Yep.
out all the new drifters.
Yep.
And it
Matt
kind of
Petty's a
started
good
with
friend of mine, actually.
and he kind of started with the 240. Like it really brought everyone together. Even anyone that's got different chassis now.
The 240 revolutionized grassroots drifting,
Right.
without question.
Right.
There was no platform better than a Nissan 240.
Because it was so cheap too. The S13s started selling.
They were like $1,500, and
yeah,
you could buy an
1,000.
SR20 with a engine harness and a tranny
another
for another
1,000.
$1,500.
Yeah.
Right, right. So and then you'd weld up the diff, and then you're gone drifting.
Golden.
That's it. Yeah.
Golden.
Pick up some used tires at
Or
your
you
used tire place.
Or you
that's it.
shim your VLSD, and you were the man.
Yeah, you could do that too.
And you're killing it. And it's really great to see like how that sport has grown from that. But I know that Van Guyten still has his
Von Gittin.
He still has his S13. And
Yeah, of course he does.
It's
all these
unbelievable.
guys do.
Yeah.
I still Ryan Turk still has
Ryan
his.
Turk
all
has
these guys,
3 240s.
they still have them.
And his brother has a 240, and his other brother has a 240.
And that's
You're
what
not
prompted
leaving
me
that.
to buy a 240, but I just never did anything.
Yeah, no.
But the drift tax has set in pretty heavy.
Yeah, it is.
At this point. And those
Especially
old
now you can't find them anymore.
Right. And if
Yeah.
you find a clean one, they're going more than a 350Z.
Yep.
Which is 10 years later,
Yep.
15 years later.
But that's also drift tax.
Right.
You know, that's also people wanting to get this
But, I mean, it's
legendary
also-
platform
it's
and
val-
start out the quote-unquote right way.
They call it drift tax, but in essence, you want that car, and you're going to have to pay for it because people know.
No, you're going to have to pay for it because they don't make it anymore, and they're super hard to find that are
Yeah.
clean. You know?
Right. And people really want to experience drifting the 240 and stuff like that, S13, S chassis, whatever. And it's kind of nice. We have a really close-knit community now of like the older guys that had from back in the day and kept them.
Sure.
It's the guys from Tarmac.
Yep. They built my car. They built my race car, and they built your car, right?
Right. Damien helped button up a bunch of stuff.
Numerous people in the tri-state and the East Coast drift community. Numerous people.
Right.
To really get back on their feet or to get their cars prepped and ready for real drifting.
Right.
You know, or people that were going for their Formula D license.
An insane level of detail that he does is just like unmatched.
Yes, I agree.
And the company that built my motor, my long block that we put in, was 240SX Motoring.
Okay.
Jeff at 240SX Motoring, and he did a phenomenal job. My current motor, which is on a Precision 6262, it's on about 18 or 19 pounds of boost, makes 450 horsepower, has 40,000 miles on it.
Right.
And that was built by the guys at 240SX Motoring. And they did a fantastic job because a lot of times you get a motor built and it's not always to spec. So it's a shout out to
What do
them.
you make in high boost?
The motor's probably capable of mid sixes. We don't put it there because it just kind of skates the tire. The car is very light. You know about light cars and big power.
Sure.
But you know, it's around 450 on the everyday drive, and it always gets driven like that. But last year we did a full restore on the car from Tom's Auto Refinishing, and we took it down to metal, replaced all the glass, and
All the moldings.
all the moldings,
All the carpeting.
You replaced everything. Where did you get all these materials from? I mean,
That's a really good question.
Do Nissan dealers still stock this stuff? Can they get it?
So through the years, I was actually kind of like
Hoarding it all?
Knew once in a while, I was gonna need some of this stuff later on. It goes bad, so I'd see weather stripping and I'd order it, and then I noticed it started to disappear, and there was a big piece that I didn't have, which was the rear quarter glasses. My stock ones were fine, but everything was going to be fresh. And
Right, you didn't want it to be pitted.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
So they ended up finding stock in a warehouse in Japan. I don't know, something, and they offered it on one of the Japanese sites. They found the crate of quarter glasses. Now these quarter window glasses originally sold for like $1,600.
Woo!
For quarter glasses on a
Wow.
240.
On a
Original.
240.
You buy a
In
240
97?
for $1,600.
Totally.
So they ended up selling them for like $600 for the pair, and I was like super.
Wow.
I was super psyched to find, and this is only 4 or 5 years ago. So I ended up ordering it. It came from Japan. I had to sign for it. Go to like the FedEx building.
The
sign.
customs.
Yeah, it came with like the wooden crate around them, and they were like. So that was like. I mean, the crate itself was super cool. Like. Just because it's so fresh on a car that's like 20 years old.
Sure.
So once we had all the pieces, we brought it to the restoration shop, and they did a phenomenal job. Painted it black again because it has to be black with me. Everything's black.
And you know, you're a classic guy, so you stick with the my favorite rim on the planet, the bronze TE37s by Volk Racing.
That's what you have.
Right.
On it? I got to see this car. When
Oh
can
my
we
God.
see this car?
Oh,
and
it's
drive
super-
this?
oh,
I
forget
don't know
it,
about
clean.
driving, but riding it.
And I also went with the classic and like world-renowned endless brakes.
Oh, yeah, endless on there, yeah.
On the car as well, which was unbelievable because the brake.
That's kind of a forgotten company these days.
Well, I know they
Like
do,
that was on the Calisonic Skyline, I remember.
They do some work with Porsche, I believe.
Really?
And I've seen them here and there. I mean, they definitely make some fantastic products.
And what coilovers are you running?
The coilovers are the TN Flexes.
Oh, right. You had said that, right.
And they have the EDFC.
Yes.
I have a Clutch Spec 3, which is okay. It's nice. It holds the power. And a Fidanza flywheel, which has always done right by me.
Fidanza. I can't remember. I haven't heard that name in years either.
Yeah, it's an old
Crazy.
flywheel, but they still...
What is it, 9 pound?
I feel like it's a 12-pound.
Oh,
but I
man,
could be
you
wrong.
gotta step your game up, Alex, man.
I
So let me ask you this: do you turn wrenches at all?
Yeah, we put the motor in. We did the wire harness ourselves, me and my friend Pat and Dane. We put it together in my... This is before I was married, before the company had kind of taken off. I asked my wife, my current wife, my girlfriend at the time's parents, if we could borrow... They had 3 garages. And I said, you don't use the garages to put cars in. Can I borrow it for a month? And we want to do this motor swap and wire harness. And they're like, sure, no problem. Clean it out. So we cleaned it out. We made it look amazing. But 1 month kind of turned into 4 months.
Yeah.
And then my wife was then my fiance.
You took up residence there, but then it was okay because you put a ring on the finger and that's it.
And we ended up finishing it. And right out of the box, we tuned it. And the first thing we did was we drove to Philadelphia right from New York. And we got and we tuned it along the way using the Haltech. And it was fantastic. We did a dyno tune first, and then we cleaned it up. And that tune's been on that car for about 5-6 years now.
Really?
40,000
With no
miles.
issues.
40,000.
And how many miles do you have now?
The car has 171,000 miles on it.
Wow. Do you plan on
That's
selling it?
gangster.
I would never. I've been offered silly money for the car from your typical, like, I would say, dad trying to buy his son a drift car kind of vibe, and I wouldn't sell it. It's not that I need to have the 240; it's that I want to have it. You know what I mean? I could have.
Have you considered
most
buying
cars.
more 240s?
The thing is, I'd like to perfect the one I have. If I had many,
So you're saying Nissan didn't perfect it?
Oh, I mean, listen,
Are you saying you're not done with it?
no, it's never done. It's never done because you always want to modify the suspension or change the ride height or change the wheel width. I'm always trying to like figure out more and more.
It's really all personalization,
Right, of
customization, modification. It's all how you personally feel about the car.
Right.
I mean, if you like the toe-in or camber or
Right,
ride
right,
height,
right.
it's like it's different suspension. I mean, it's all
I mean, this
personal
thing,
choice.
legit, I've seen it, is one of the finest examples of a 240 probably surviving today. It's ready to go into a museum. That's how anal this guy is. Forget about it.
I do have to tell you this crazy story about the dashboard. So I took my car to get detailed.
Yes. By who? Drop some names. Just kidding.
So my car went to get
It
detailed.
was not my company.
And they did a fantastic job on the detail. But what happened was, listen, the dashboard's 20 years old or whatever. And there was no cracks on my dashboard because, like my dad, you got everything with like the horse, like what do they use on horse saddles,
I
like
forget
the
what
leather.
they call that. What do they call that?
the oils.
Yeah, like you make sure it's like Guido juiced, we used to call it, but whatever.
So the car was well lubed at all times.
But it turns out that some of the older Armor All products actually dried out. So
Yes.
it was only a matter of time. The dashboard got a crack in it this big, right? We're talking about a half an inch. And I pick up the car. I'm like, wow, the car's fantastic. And all of a sudden, my eye just shoots to the dashboard. And I'm like, oh,
You're the dude.
my
You're that
God.
dude. For sure.
So my hunt begins to like try to find a factory Nissan dashboard brand new.
Right.
The next day after the dashboard cracks, I get a phone call from a Nissan truck racing team from upstate. They race the Tundras and they do towing.
That's pretty crazy because
Yeah.
Toyota makes Tundra.
Sorry,
Frontier?
no, yeah, it's a Nissan Frontier.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I don't know
It's
why
all
I said
right.
Tundra.
I don't know.
So
It happens.
it's the Nissan. It was like the Nissan Frontier or the what's the other
Titan.
The
Armada,
Titan.
Titan. Yep.
And this guy's winning left and right. He says I deal with a bunch of Nissan teams. And we ended up having a relationship. We did a design for him.
You guys dated?
We dated. I was kissing his ass because I felt like he might have the hook. And he was able to locate a dashboard in Turkey.
Wow.
There was
Really?
there was a
How random is
stock
that?
Nissan dashboard in Turkey, and he was able to facilitate it to me, and I was able to get a brand new, fresh
That's
Nissan
crazy.
dashboard, which we changed this year when after that
Which
happened.
legit, even if you were living in Japan, would have been super hard to find.
Right.
Yeah.
For some reason, they were in Turkey. I don't know why. It's super weird.
They don't have a
But the
drift
guy
community.
found it, and he got killer shirts, and he was super
Which is
happy.
also kind of surprising because I figured it would make a difference. Right-hand drive, left-hand drive.
Right, it's very strange.
Yeah.
But I know in Greece, in Turkey, they are on our side.
On the left-hand side?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
And they're
that makes
200
You got
SXs.
super lucky.
Super
Yeah, no
lucky.
kidding.
Wasn't cheap.
Because I would think Europe would be a
From the-
right-hand
it was
drive.
from the Nissan dealership. It was not cheap.
Hey, what are we talking about? Not cheap. How much?
$2,500.
My man is
Okay.
in it to win it, boy.
Could have been worse. I mean, listen,
listen.
if you want the
Yeah.
original, you pay for the original.
I mean, on the way here, Alex was telling us about his Rolex collection. So none of us are going to have to feel sorry for
absolutely
him.
not.
I heard Swatch, but
Yes.
Whoa!
I only rock
just playing.
Casio Edifice. I don't know if you're aware of this brand.
No.
I'm just kidding.
edifice. What? I'm googling that.
I'm just a nerd for all things Japanese, and this is like one of like the higher end Casios. Not even really. Like, let's not
I
say it's higher
have,
end.
I have a G-Shock Frogman. Fallback.
Yes, and it's dope, and it's super dope.
Thank you.
It's
I
very
appreciate
cool.
it.
All right, enough of the Casio bullshit.
There we go. Here we go.
All right, so how often do you drive this car?
I try to drive it at least once a weekend in like decent weather. It'll never see snow or rain, obviously.
Is it very streetable with the power that you have?
It's absolutely streetable. The turbo comes on, with the KA, turbo comes on really hard, like a hammer. So you kind of need to know how to drive
Gets a little squirrely?
It can get squirrely if you're super into it, but if you're driving just regular and you ease into it, it's super fun on the highway. It's definitely.
What does it feel like if you're a man driving it?
You're just gonna be spinning. You're gonna go through tires like.
We like that.
Yeah, it's.
So what kind of numbers are you putting down?
It makes on low boost, or like I would say regular boost, 19 pounds. It makes 450 horsepower.
At the wheel?
At the wheel, and at the higher boost, capable of around mid sixes. It's never really put there.
And which motor do you have in there now?
I have the KA motor. That's a 2.4 liter, and we put a Precision 6262 on it. And Haltech is running. The
Yeah, but your
engine
block
management.
is sleeved and you have knife edge crank and cams
Well, you
and
can't
everything, right?
you can't sleeve that motor, but it's an iron block.
Okay.
So they're really strong. Aluminum head, iron block, SuperTech head, manly rod, CP pistons. Can't
Well, that's
go
good.
wrong.
Something in your car's manly.
You did. That's fine. That's
So you take it out once a week.
Yeah, once a week. We're actually doing a gigantic Philly run tomorrow night. All the old 240 guys are getting together. We're meeting at Caesar's
So
Bay.
like all six of you?
Should we show up in my Focus?
Yeah. No,
Should I show up in my GT3?
Oh, come on. You guys.
I mean, honestly, if I had the CRX going, I'd come out and
Killer.
waste you
I'll
guys.
show up
Absolutely.
the Isetta.
We're gonna meet. We're gonna head down to Philly. We have about 25 guys coming,
That's decent.
and some of the guys have. I don't know if you know what an RB30 is.
Sure.
It's like an Australian kind of concoction of an RB, and there's a whole bunch of different, but some really beautiful 240s.
That'd
in the
be
thing.
awesome.
Every different type of motor, and we just go back.
I'm actually surprised you're bringing it out because I know how crazy you are about that car.
Yeah, it's almost, my wife calls it a sickness because she's like, why 240? You don't want to get something nice. My wife drives a nicer car. I
I
just
was going
like
to get to that.
car.
What do you daily drive?
I daily drive because again, I kind of like the rarity of it, and they stopped producing it. Is the FJ Cruiser.
Oh, okay.
It's got like Toyota on the brain, but Nissan in the garage.
But listen, no, it's
I
fully
don't know
Nissan.
how really dedicated you are to Nissan. You were really young.
Oh, stop it! I mean, I have like the Evolution.
Do you have a tattoo? Because you should have a Nissan tattoo.
Oh boy.
Maybe you need to get like a Nissan Patrol.
That'd
That
be
would be
sick. Sick. I would love to have a Nissan Patrol. They are unstoppable.
There is one thing that I would probably import. Would probably be like a coupe, S13 two-tone coupe. So it's like a 240, but it's like that two-tone.
Yeah, John has one.
Yeah, but
Two-tone.
they're like a JDM one, right-hand drive, because they're
Yes.
legal now. They're
Yep.
not too expensive.
True.
And they're super, like, you don't have to touch them.
Yeah.
They got the turbo motor.
And they have their
look
high-cast, right?
fantastic. They can have high-cast, yes.
Do you know what Hikis is,
Yes,
Seth?
the four-wheel steering thing.
My man!
Come on.
Yo,
Good
Seth
for
does
you.
not
Like,
disappoint me.
come on.
Seth,
for
good
you.
boy,
You talk
Seth.
the talk.
Unbelievable.
Walk the walk. I
You
know
didn't
what
want to
you're
talk about Casios, but we could talk about Hikis.
No, I had a Casio calculator watch when I was a kid because I wanted to cheat on tests. That was about it.
That's all.
Jewish people. Unbelievable.
Oh, my God.
But yeah, I mean, more and more cars now are coming in because of the laws that have changed.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm sure we're going to start seeing a lot more of these cars stateside.
I can't wait till the 34 is legal.
Well,
then it's a wrap.
interesting you brought that up because yesterday there was something that was posted online, and allegedly it is not a spoof. It's legitimate. Somebody actually sent a letter to Donald Trump asking him to legalize to bring in.
Way.
Did you guys catch that? R33s and R34s.
What?
And S15s, yeah.
And he said, if you can get 10,000 likes and 10,000 comments, I'll make it happen.
What? Let's do this. I'm
So-
pretty sure through our social media reach we can make it happen.
No, it's already done. It's at 100,000
Yeah.
likes.
What?
So, yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
The only thing is, with the R34 being made legal, which
Yeah.
in a few years it's coming,
Yes.
you literally need to put away like $1,000 a day because those
it's
cars are going to be like
150,000.
for like
I mean,
a regular.
Not if we get them out of Australia.
Okay.
Australia, they're very cheap. They're cheaper than they are in Japan.
2 years ago
Yeah.
in Monterey, RM sold the Hakoska, the very first one,
Listen to this.
at auction, and it went for $242,000.
Oh wait, the first Skyline, not the first R34.
No, it's a special edition GTR.
Yes, but
And
what year?
It was a 95, I believe.
72.
Oh,
you're
no,
talking
no,
about-
That's
I'm
the
with
No,
this.
Hakosoka.
The Hakoska.
Oh, very nice.
But yeah, but I'm saying we're talking about putting money away because these are just
No,
flying.
we're talking about the new. We're talking about R34 V spec, like GTR V spec.
There was-
I need a nurse spec. That's what I need. And Millennium Jade. That's what I need.
I mean, or we could just buy a new Nismo. It's about the same price.
Right.
Nope.
Yeah.
I'd rather have.
No,
I'd
thank
rather
you.
have an R34 GTR
She's
V spec
100%
nurse
right.
spec.
She's
Yeah.
100%.
or
Well, we
S0.
talked about it on one of the other podcasts, the new Nissan GTR.
I mean,
V-Spec
nostalgia is one thing. The new
173,000.
GTR
No.
sits on everybody.
I don't
like,
care.
There's no touching the new GTR with an old
Yes,
GTR.
but the GTR, the R34 GTR V spec is gangster as fuck.
Yes,
Yes.
it's absolutely the
Yes.
love of everyone's
That is
life.
that is the
There's
pinnacle.
no like driveway queen like you know.
It's
Yeah.
the pinnacle of the. That's the pinnacle of the Japanese sports car, hands down.
Yeah. That's the OG.
When you're talking about the most modern day computerized, hands down.
No, but
When
that's
you're
the
talking
car
about-
that really
when
brought
you're talking about vintage,
the JDM
though,
market to America. Like people wanted that.
absolutely.
Like people were like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god! Like what is that? Like
and-
what do you mean it
and
stays
Fast
over
and
the
the Furious
beats of
had
Ferrari?"
everything to do with it.
Yeah, it did. It's true. I don't know. It's super gangster. That's
Well,
like
we'll
not
see. I
having,
mean-
not being able to get a Countach all these years.
Yeah, and then getting
they're
one.
they're talking about like the new Aventador, and they're like, but this year you could get a new Countach, an old Countach. Now they're available. I would all day get a Countach.
So,
Sick, because it's
Yeah.
the OG.
yeah,
you know?
I know what you're saying. That's funny. That's
Like the
funny you
roots,
say that.
you know? Like this is where it all started from.
But I'm just saying, like, the price is going to be ridiculous
Yeah,
for
it'll be out of
R34s.
control. Yep, for sure.
There's already companies offering. You can buy them, and they're like 40 G's.
They were
in Japan, and they'll store
$100,000
them.
when Motorex was doing them
Yeah.
and bringing them in for Paul Walker.
Yeah,
You
well,
know what I'm
Motorex
saying?
was a mess.
Motorex was a mess. Yes.
I don't know. I'd still be interested in saving up money for a Camry or something.
Oh, what?
The Camry, the old Skyline.
How
Yeah.
does she even know these
I love
words?
it. That's awesome that she knows what that is.
Don't hit
Still
on
in
her
my
I'm
lines.
mind.
Don't, yeah, I'm married.
seriously-
And,
I'm married.
I love those.
Nah,
but
it's
yeah,
awesome.
let's talk about the 70s Nissans. That's my
I love.
style.
I mean,
That's
those
my
are
style.
super gangster too. You can't look at them and like, what's the one that I really?
I just
like?
love the mirrors on the fenders.
Oh, the 400 LM.
Yes.
That's the one I like.
Isn't that the one
Do
that
you know that one?
it kind of? I thought I saw a
It's
R30.
similar to that one over
Yeah,
there.
that's an R32.
yeah, because
It's like
everybody
an
can see
R30.
it. Thanks.
No,
I think
that's a, thank you, Seth.
the
Thank you.
the 400 LM's an R33, correct?
Yes. Yes,
And
but it was it's in Gran Turismo. It's super
they
limited
only
and
made
it's
40?
dumb fast. It's like JGTC Le Mans fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Legit.
There is a limited production S chassis S14 called a 270R that they
Really?
only made 50 of.
Really?
Yeah, they
Where's
did
yours?
it. What'd you say?
Where's yours?
Yeah.
I'm
That-
sure it's coming.
The thing is, there was 50 of them, right?
Yeah.
I know of a few that got to Canada that didn't know what they had and they parted them.
Wow.
They have special rims. They have a special number badge.
I'm about to Google it.
Yeah, it's 270R. They made 50 of them. I actually had a friend who had a set of wheels from one. It was built to be put into a certain type of race in Japan, like to be eligible to be raced.
That's awesome.
And I believe they made 270 horsepower as well. Like it was a little bit of a juiced up model.
It looks like a cross between, like a Japanese S14 and a R33.
Right. It has the round kind of eyes.
Yes.
It has like the Zenki headlights. Very rare.
It has a top-mount intercooler?
Yeah.
Because I see it has a vented hood.
I think it's
So
top.
I'd have
I don't
to
know
assume-
if it's top mount. That could just be for cooling through the ducts through the front.
Oh, it's cool. It has like the it has the Nismo stickers on it. Like
No,
Nismo
it's-
270R.
Yeah, like it's
Sick.
super, super rare.
Oh, this
That's
is
the
sick.
That's the rarest, hands down, ass chassis.
I think you should sell your car.
Never, never. But that is a fantastic
I
car.
mean, your car's a labor of love. So
Absolutely.
and it's been
Yes,
it's been
sentimental
with you
value.
for.
like people see it, they say, yeah, it's a 240. I mean, I do get compliments from it, but it is a labor of love, like you've said.
So there's no chance you're going to be getting rid of that.
No, no chance. Maybe
I don't
adding to
blame
the
you.
collection, but with a new R35 or something, but not.
So you have that on your radar?
I really do. I really am on the fence and trying to decide because if I can only drive the
And
240,
by fence, he means white picket fence because he's loaded.
can you stop?
I mean,
I'm
I
only
ride in a
kidding.
Nissan every day. It's a taxi. Yeah. A lot of the taxis here in New York
Ubers,
are,
yeah.
Really?
Yep.
What are they? They're the vans that,
The Envy.
They have good
NV
space, good
200.
gas mileage. They do it up.
yeah.
There's no GTR Ubers around. Not
They
that I
should.
know.
That's something.
Maybe you should look into that.
That would be cool. A fleet of.
Oh my God.
So-
your business model would have
We're
to be like
ready.
at a gas station.
Yeah, at a gas station.
Yeah.
So you think you have a GTR in your future? Is
I
that
would
what
hope
you're
so.
considering?
Yeah, I would really hope so. I think that would probably be, and then maybe I could take that and hand that to my son.
Why would you choose that car?
I think that's like the sports car right now for Nissan. You know, the 370Z, the GTR.
I mean, it's unparalleled. There's nothing touching it.
And also-
for the money and for the for the sheer capability to modify to phenomenal numbers. There's nothing like this car.
right. It's really
I mean,
like
Nissan
the
has
next
toppled
evolution.
the market.
Right. For a
There's
decent
nothing
price.
touching a GTR.
Right.
Like any manufacturer you name.
I mean, it is.
Doesn't have a car.
It is the
they
best
can
bang for the
fuck
buck.
with the Skyline. Like
I mean,
Skyline,
it's-
6-cylinder, smoking everything,
Yeah.
everything.
It
And
is.
then
know?
you take it aftermarket. You can put
forget it.
any body
Yeah.
kit on
Yes.
it, any wheels, any
Yes.
tires, any
And
suspension.
the fabrication,
It works really well.
the fabrication work that's done for it throughout any company is unbelievable as well.
Agreed. I mean, it's really the end all.
the same
people,
body style
people
for a
show
long
up with
time.
that to a race, and people are just like, "All right, just go home." Like, how are you going to compete
Yeah,
with
it's.
that?
I mean, it's so easy to build them out, and we've seen people accomplish.
Seth
the upwards
had
of 2,000
one of the very
horsepower,
first
so
ones on the East Coast.
It's
right?
just crazy what people have done to them and modified them. We were just at SEMA, and I mean, it's still a staple at SEMA all these years later. I mean, 2009 was when they first brought it over, the new one.
Right. And the new ones are beautiful. The 2017s are the remodel is just beautiful. And it's a slight
change, yeah.
Slight changes, but
It's not tremendous.
they made the interior a little nicer, a little
But
quieter.
why fix what's not broken?
Right.
You know, and like T-Minus was saying, I had one of the first ones that came stateside, so that was a pretty cool experience. Because I mean, I honestly never even thought I was going to have one, and I just happened to stumble across a dealer. He was trying to make a deal on a Ferrari I was involved in, so I was able to kind of like
Didn't
rope
you
the first
win
one.
Bull Run in that car?
Twice?
Twice.
Ooh.
That's a
Once or twice.
testament to
That's
this
awesome.
car. I
That's
mean,
awesome.
legit. I don't know if we should be saying this, but Seth did 209 miles an hour for 33 minutes.
In Mexico?
I did. No, it's okay.
Oh,
statute
Statute
limitations.
Okay.
Statute
Never mind, it
limitations
works.
have run out.
Mexico.
I went from Laughlin, Nevada to the Vegas Strip to Fremont Street, which was 99 miles in 33 minutes in a Nissan GTR. I think we averaged 171 miles an hour.
Averaged.
Unbelievable.
Nice.
Averaged.
Averaged in over 100-degree weather with the sun setting into my eyes. It was kind of crazy. And that car maintained,
Temperature, everything?
Everything. Air conditioning, the whole 9 yards.
No.
Nothing ever failed. I will, however, say that the intercooler took a beating by the time I was done with the second rally, which had to be replaced, which I will say kudos to Nissan because they warrantied it.
Oh.
Dude, I'm telling you, there's nothing like this
Awesome.
car. There's nothing like this
Yeah.
car.
No.
Like Nissan broke the internet.
I will
what I'm
actually
saying?
also add that I sold the car I sold it after 3 years, just before the warranty was running out.
Right.
And that wasn't the reason. I just happened to be selling it. Time to move on to another project. And I sold it to a gentleman in Detroit. And after he bought the car, that's when he saw my videos online and said, uh-oh, I hope I'm getting a good car. And I said, no, you actually are, because I honestly never even put it into race mode or launched it or anything. I'm not that kind of driver. I drive hard, I drive fast, but I don't drive abusive
Right.
to the car. And the car is it's built to take it all. And
it took it.
It took it. He got the car. It was great. And 30 days later, he blew the transmission.
Ooh.
And I will say kudos again to Nissan, because they warrantied it. It was almost out of warranty, and they still warrantied it.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
So they
Right.
did.
I mean, and
they
how
did
many-
the right thing, and
do you
everything
really
worked
think
out.
that that's going to happen with like Lamborghini?
Lamborghini. Here's an interesting one with Lamborghini. Any Lamborghini, the factory warranty is void if you even just change the wheels.
Okay.
If you put aftermarket wheels on the car and you blow the transmission, differential, or anything, they will void your warranty, and you are done.
Wow, that's really serious.
It is pretty serious.
That's crazy.
They are very strict with their warranty. I mean, I don't change wheels, so my Nissan was basically stock with some bolt-ons.
But
and-
really minor bolt-ons.
Yeah, and they still, they warranted everything. They stood behind the product, and I'm a testament to that product itself, because I beat the piss out of that car. I drove that car 209 miles an hour. I mean, you name it, whether it was in the winter, the summer, the spring, the fall.
We had
I
it out in
really-
the snow.
Yeah. I mean, I really
I'm
drove
telling you,
that
there's
car.
nothing like that car. There's nothing like that car. You
man.
can't go to any other manufacturer and say, well, this is comparable, because it's just not.
Yeah, it was basically bulletproof. So I urge you to get one. If you haven't had one, you should get
No,
one.
I've been doing my research. It's unbelievable, though. And I'm definitely looking forward to hopefully one day. The time's got to be right.
Good. So why don't you tell us a little more about your business and where it's going these days, and then we're going to wrap this up. So give yourself a plug. The name of the company is,
Constant Design with a K, spelt with a K.
and your specialty is.
We do design and printing for motorsport industry, like logo design, T-shirt printing, embroidery, and digital printing as far as decals and stuff like that.
Okay.
All in-house. All the facility is around 25,000 square feet, and we do all printing, digital,
That's pretty
embroidery
big.
in-house.
25,000 square feet.
Yeah, it's a large facility.
This guy's got a big
Yeah.
business. Huh?
Yeah, he's so poor, this guy.
Mr.
Unbelievable.
GTR, huh? Okay, so and some of your clients, we started to touch on it earlier, but you had mentioned Discovery.
We do work with a lot of the Discovery stars that are on Street Outlaws. We do stuff. We design the T-shirts for those guys. Those guys have a big following, and they go to tracks every weekend, so they have a big need for T-shirts. So we design and print all the T-shirts for these guys. I mean, they go through thousands of shirts a week. So some like Kai Kelly, Dave Comstock, Big Daddy Dave, the Silver Unit, a bunch of the guys on the show. We design and print for them. They're absolutely a pleasure to work with. Again, Tony Paolo from T1 Race Development. We do printing for them. Induction Performance in Florida. We do, there's a ton of amazing companies that we design and print for. And
Even for people local, like tuning star Chris Miller.
yeah, we do a bunch of stuff for Chris Miller. Empire Performance, which does a ton of GTR stuff. Force Fed Performance, also Ed over at Force Fed. Yeah, it's nice. And again, this all kind of like culminated from me getting my car modded and meeting these people.
Sure.
And the business name is Constant Design, like I said. The website's Constant Design as well. Instagram,
Where can we find you on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter?
Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. It's all at Constant
You
Design.
want to spell that out for our listeners?
KONSTANTDESIGN.
Right, so singular,
Yeah.
constant.
Constant Design.
Awesome.
So
Cool.
a big thanks to Alex for coming all the way
Thank you guys so much.
Into New York City from Long Island. It is a far trip.
Yeah, it's been great to talk to you and to find out a little about your history and your business and your future in the Nissan motor world. We look forward to taking a look at this car, because I know that we're going to take some shots of it.
Sure.
We're going to arrange that. And I mean, this was an awesome look into the Nissan 240 world. I owned one for a short period of time, but nothing in depth like you've come from. You said you had a website that people can find you at?
We have a Facebook page, 240, which is it's the
In numbers?
In numbers,
Right.
240. That's the Facebook page, where we kind of just we do local gatherings and stuff like that, where we get all the 240 people together.
Everybody's welcome.
Everybody's welcome. Even if you don't have one, you're looking to get one, or you have a Z,
Or you're a fan.
yeah, anybody can come, and you can find us there, and just hang out with a bunch of guys, trade parts,
But if you do have one and you have that 270 that you've been looking for and you want to get rid of it for like 10 grand, Alex is a
we
buyer.
got you, absolutely.
Alex is a
yeah.
buyer. Again, thank you for your time and coming and speaking with us today and sharing your story. And again, I guess that's basically it. You can find Elizabeth White at
It's White Noise on Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat.
T-.
T_car lifestyle.
And I'm Seth Rose at Exotics Rally. And we look forward to bringing you many more interesting podcasts. Thank you, and that's a wrap.